What's going on, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. It's your boy Richie. We got two special guests to break down the New York Knicks 8-game winning streak. I don't know how to act. If you guys saw my recap video last night, I just didn't even know what to say because as a Knicks fan, I'm not used to watching my team dominate people every single night. It's an 8-game win streak. The New York Knicks are your third seed in the Eastern Conference, 31-17. Doesn't matter who's injured. Whoever steps up thrives. And we're not just beating teams. We're blowing them out. So welcome into the show, everybody. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe here to Knicks Media. We'll start off with you, John. How are you feeling right now, man? It's been a while since we've had you back on Knicks Media, and a lot's happened since then.
Oh, dude. I mean, this entire month of January has been absolutely insane. I know we're going to get into it, but to just top off a back-to-back with no Randle, which, I mean, we were talking. I was literally depressed over the weekend. Like, you're trying to get all hyped about the Knicks. Oh, it's so good. I'm literally depressed after that Heat game. And then we lost OG in this like secret elbow injury, which we'll talk about that in a bit too. But we won a back-to-back in Charlotte, back to Utah. These are the games that the Knicks lose. I know you brought it up last episode. We are undefeated against teams below 500. I've never experienced a Knicks team like that as long as I've been alive. And speaking of that, man, how do I feel? Al-Anon was the first person to put us on to the best Knicks record since '94. And you look at the Rangers, and they're on top of their division, and you see what the Knicks are doing, like you said, top of the third seed. So right now, I am flying high, man. Nothing can stop me right now. You could fire the whole Jets front office. You could write hit pieces. Wandy Peralta can go to the Padres. No, nothing can stop me right now because the Knicks are the third seed. We're on an 8-game winning streak, 14-2, and without 3 of our 5 starters. Like Mitch is out, Isaiah Hartenstein's on a minute restriction, OG is out, Randle's out, and we're winning 14-2. So 1-2 in a row. So right now, I'm good to go, man. How are you guys doing?
I mean, I'm feeling great. Tyler, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. Literally over the weekend, was in the city for the day, went to see a Mark Norman comedy show in the evening. I was like, you know, we got all day taking my brother in for a Christmas gift. Let's go to the Knicks game. It's at 3:00. He's never been to a Knicks game before. I only went once. My first time. Richie, you know, took my virginity for that last year against the Clippers. They lost in OT, but it was a fun game.
That was a crazy game.
My brother against Miami Heat. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better game to go to, aside from Randle's injury towards the end, where my brother looked at me right away. He's like, that shoulder's out. Hopefully it's nothing more. I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. That's especially, you know, you mentioned the Rangers. I always reference Ryan Callahan, the former captain for the Rangers like a decade ago, on a play in the playoffs. He popped his shoulder completely out. Went in the locker room, came right back in to finish the game. Obviously, he didn't need to do that because it looks like they tried to get Randle's shoulder back in there. It wasn't working, so he was out for the game. Thankfully, it isn't the worst news to this point with Julius, which is awesome. And yeah, just my initial reactions to everything is just awesome. I mean, the Garden was popping as you'd expect on a normal Saturday game against a heated rival. And it's funny how Miami comes in, but they don't bring the heat. I know I'm going to be a father soon, so I got to do the stupid, corny dad jokes ahead of time. But in all seriousness, it's been so much fun to watch this team lately. Their ability to not be selfish but selfless has been always my biggest takeaway every single night. Last night's another prime example of everyone getting the ball and taking advantage of it. Dante DiVincenzo's my freaking guy, so to see him balling out the way he is so sick. So yeah, we have plenty to get into from these matchups, but just initial reactions. Damn, it feels good to be a Knicks fan right now.
And man, it feels good to hear that because it's finally, I'm proud to be a Knicks fan. It's never been the case, right? That's been a long, long time coming. You look around the NBA, and I'm just going to tell you guys straight up, the New York Knicks are the best team in the NBA since the new year of 2024. That is not an opinion. That's not a delusion. It's a fact, and the numbers back it up, baby. Now, will it continue? We shall see. And the reason why you can actually take that with substance is because the OG Anunoby trade happened right before the new year. So first game of the 2024 new year was the first game with OG. And this team has been absolutely changed since then. And now we're seeing what this Knicks team can do with injuries. Julius Randle's out. OG Anunoby's out. We're all thinking the same thing. Oh my gosh, here goes our win streak rather. We'll probably win against the Hornets, but we'll probably come back to earth against the Jazz. We're just waiting for the Knicks to just like lose. They come back to down to earth, especially with the injuries. But that's not the case. We have a guy at Jalen Brunson who's literally playing like an MVP. Dante DiVincenzo steps up and is playing out of his damn mind. Precious Achiuwa, someone who I was hating on when we first got him. Like, who is this guy? I don't like him. I just don't like anything about Precious, and I'm so happy to admit to be completely wrong. In the two games that Precious has started in Julius's place has been phenomenal. I mean, what are we doing here? Josh Hart with a 10 triple-double, like 10, 10, and 10, 10th player ever in history to do that. I mean, bro, there's so much stuff to love about this Knicks team, and my biggest takeaway is the culture. And I think that that's something that I've been waiting for any of my franchises that I root for to have, and we're seeing it right before our eyes. The New York Knicks officially have a winning culture, and how you could tell by that is it doesn't matter who's out there. If somebody's injured, like one of the best players in the Knicks team, like a Julius Randle, like an OG Anunoby, who is a big difference maker since we got him, both of them being out, you plug in Josh Hart, the starting lineup, you plug in Precious Achiuwa, Dante takes a more significant role, he puts up back-to-back 30-point games, Jalen Brunson does his usual self, and we're blowing teams out. We're not just winning, we're blowing them out. I mean, John, what's your thoughts of the culture here? Do you think it's more of a coaching thing with Tom Thibodeau, Leon Rose? Like, how have the Knicks got to this point where even when we're injured, even when we didn't have Isaiah Hartenstein for those couple of games, Jericho Sims and Precious Achiuwa starting against the Denver Nuggets, and we blow out the defending champions? Like, what's going on? What's your biggest takeaways of the depth of this Knicks team?
So you asked two different questions there. When you want to talk depth, I got to give a shout out to Leon Rose. I mean, think about the players and the signings and how everybody gets at him the second it happens, and you just wait maybe like 2-3 months, and all of a sudden it's the best signing or it's the best trade, right?
Yeah.
It started with the Brunson, right? And he was so overpaid, and Dallas didn't want to pay him. And we kind of did the same thing to IQ, and maybe we're going to be crying over that later. It's the same thing that happened, but he took that chance. DiVincenzo, he's just bringing over another Villanova guy. Josh Hart, he doesn't deserve all that money for a bench player. All this stuff, that's all Leon Rose. But why the Knicks are winning right now, it's not the depth, it's the culture. You know that when you go into the game, what's expected of you. And, I mean, there's nothing more to talk about than Taj Gibson, who could be on the bench at home. We'd be calling his name. He can get in the game because Tibbs knows that he's going to go and he's going to do the defensive assignments. Flip that around. Yesterday, you go look at it. We were up, I'm pretty sure it was 22 points. McBride let a guy go backdoor, didn't switch off. Tom Thibodeau freaked out, called timeout, took McBride out of the game, put Brunson back in. We're up 22. And that's not Tibbs is being stubborn and he, is scared of the lead. It's none of that. That's him being pissed off at Deuce McBride. It doesn't care about the scores because he missed a defensive assignment. That's culture. That's you knowing it doesn't matter what I do. If I just do my assignment, I'm good. If I don't, I'm screwed. Doesn't matter what's going on in the game. And that's accountability. And if you listen to Theo Pinson, talk on his podcast, what he talks about is there's no accountability, right? There was never any accountability when he was there, right? Julius can do whatever he wants, et cetera, et cetera. And now you see nobody can do whatever they want, right? Brunson is the leader. He sets the tone. Collie Sexton, who went 1 for 10 the game before, is talking trash, and he set the tone. He hit the button, and here we are, man. We're 14-2. He's about to make the All-Star game on Thursday, and then we're about to have the Pacers come into town versus the starter, right? Halliburton's the starter. Brunson's on the bench. We got Obi coming to town. He's just going to be announced to start on the All-Star team for sure. And Brunson, I mean, the culture is amazing. The depth is great. The vibes are immaculate in the Garden. Thank you to, the schedule for giving us 17 straight home games, including Charlotte and Brooklyn. Things are good right now. Things are really, really good right now.
And I think a big piece of the culture is the addition of the Nova boys. I mean, it started off with Brunson, and then it was the Josh Hart trade, and then it's a Dante DiVincenzo signing. And you're seeing those three guys just have such a camaraderie, and they just have been together. They've been friends for a long, long time. They're friends off the court. They're brothers, basically. And I feel like I love the dynamic where Jalen Brunson gets asked, what you think of Josh Hart's, triple-double? What is he doing out there? He's just doing cardio. I mean, Dante ranking Brunson's dunk on Saturday against the Heat a 1 out of 10. Josh Hart taking a little they always have these little subtle jabs at each other, and that just tells you this team is so tight. And the more importantly about this team, they're having fun. And that's the cool thing about this. So, Tyler, what's your overall thoughts of the culture and more specifically the Villanova connection? Because I feel like those three have kind of really stepped up, in more particular from the injuries, where Josh Hart slid into the starting five. And we're seeing last night in particular, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and Jalen Brunson really willing this Knicks team to victory with all the other supporting cast around him as well, of course.
Yeah, listen, we've seen many instances of teams, not only NBA, but just sports in general, that end up having kind of a group together because they were buddies either on a former team or whatever. And a lot of those situations, they don't kind of have the success the way the Knicks have right now because there's usually a comfortability level too comfortable. What is one thing we're noticing about these Nova boys is the discipline they had during their time at Villanova. Then, of course, taking here with Tom Thibodeau. That has been a huge standout. The way that Hart's implementation, especially with Julius and with, the recent injuries that we have had, his ability to step up, even that Miami Heat game was absolutely tremendous, getting in, down and gritty, exactly what you'd expect Josh Hart to do. Then he has the 10-10-10 triple-double, which is absolutely insane, but we love to see it. You get the type of dynamic, the defensive and offensive dynamic from Josh. But then you have Dante DiVincenzo, who again, you know this, Richie. I've been a fan of Dante, literally going back to his time in Villanova when he was first drafted, to watch many games during his time with the Bucks as well. He is someone that just molds this team so great. I love the fact that we have him on the contract that we currently do too. Thank goodness it's not just a one and done, because this is someone who can step up exactly how you want him to in the starting five or off the bench as a sixth man. I mean, literally dropping a career 8 threes last night. Was that the statistic that we saw? Nine
I mean,
threes. Like, need I say more? The guy has been absolutely balling out.
I wanted 10, if I'm being honest. I was screaming for 10. I wanted
we all want 10, of course.
He had the 10. Josh Hart had the 10s. It just would have been fun.
The funny thing about us Knicks fans is that, like, we're not used to success, but as soon as we get a sliver, we're acting spoiled. We're like, all right, more of this all the time, please. We need this crazy dopamine hit. But you have Dante DiVincenzo. What I love so much about him is not only his ability to really step up in any which way the Knicks ask, but also in his ability to not force anything. I mentioned the selflessness. He has done that to an absolute T. Let's not forget when OG Anunoby first came, that game against the T-Wolves, who was setting him up so much? It was Dante DiVincenzo getting him set up in the paint there to drive him in. Like, they're just little aspects of Dante's game, which I absolutely love. His three ball is so underrated. Him himself is a criminally underrated player in the league, and it's great to see the spotlight he's been getting over the past couple of games now. And then the man himself, need I say more as well, Jalen Brunson. We are so spoiled as Knicks fans right now to actually have a guard that knows what the hell he's doing, let alone on the MVP caliber level. Yes, you heard that correctly. To anyone out there that suggests otherwise, I don't know what you're watching, but Jalen Brunson is single-handedly driving this Knicks team to the playoffs. And that's why I said it last show. This is not a slight. This is nothing against Julius Randle. But what Jalen Brunson means to Julius Randle is far more than what necessarily Julius Randle means to Jalen Brunson and this entire squad. When it's just Randle out there, when he needs to be the driver of this offense, we have seen the constant issues in years past. When you have JB in there, it's a completely different dynamic. And without Randle the past 2 games, no problem. I mean, Precious is stepping up like never before. Again, who would have thought this? So when you look through the entirety of the team, not just the Nova boys themselves, and of course, can't forget our boy Ryan on the bench, obviously doing his best with the Twitter fingers. You look at these guys and you come to the realization that, yeah, this is a squad. They have the chemistry, but they have the exact balance that you want in an NBA team to actually push to hopefully have championship success. Everyone's saying how they're still 1 star away, this and that. That might be true in actually getting over the hump from being a playoff team to a championship caliber team. But what we're seeing right now, you can make the rightful argument that you do not want to mess up the flow. You do not want to mess up said chemistry. So if the Knicks do still make a trade, to what degree, that's going to be a great question that we're going to have as the deadline is literally right around the corner now.
Yeah, and that's definitely a really good point, right? Do you want to make a trade because of how well the team is playing, or we're just at the point where, like, wait, maybe we are a trade away from actually being over the top and competing with guys like the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, which are ahead of us right now in the Eastern Conference standings. For now, we're coming for you guys, by the way, because this Knicks team, I'm watching them, and I'm just like so giddy, and I'm trying to stay humble. I'm trying to stay sane, and I just don't know how to act. That's what it comes down to. I'm not used to this, okay, John?
I don't know what to do
We're
with
not
my
used to
hands,
this.
Ricky Bobby.
Like, that's what I'm saying. We're not used to this as Knicks fans, and I love the reaction from Knicks faithful on Twitter, of course, all over the place at the Garden. It's just a matter of time until we start parading regular season wins in the city, in the streets like we usually do. I just feel like the camaraderie with this team, it translates. And, like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but, like, the sky's the limit this season with or without a trade. And the reason why I say that is because they have the number one ranked defense in the NBA since the trade, right? Since the new year of 2024. They have an MVP caliber point guard in Jalen Brunson, who is the consistent 30-point a night at this point. And when Julius Randle returned, I mean, we're seeing what this team is doing without Julius Randle. And let's be honest with ourselves. Let's humble ourselves just really quick. We just versed one of the two worst defenses in the league. And that was without Julius and OG, right? It was cool to see Dante go off like that. Cool to see Jalen do his usual stuff. We got to see the Knicks be able to do this against a top-tier defense like the Celtics or another team like that without a guy like Julius Randle. But the good news is we're not going to be without Julius Randle for long. It seems to be a few weeks. Maybe it's a month. Maybe it's 6 weeks. I don't know. The good news is he'll be back by the postseason. That's really all that matters to me personally. And it really just comes down to what is the limit for this Knicks team? And there shouldn't be, right? We shouldn't say like, oh, yeah, they can just go to the second round, or they can just go to the Eastern Conference Finals, or maybe they'll go to the championship and lose. Who knows? I feel like based off what we're seeing right now, objectively looking around the NBA, we are not. And the reason why I'm feeling this way, folks, is because the fashion we're winning. Right? It's not like we're winning the cardiac Knicks. Remember that, John? I've noticed something special and something different about this Knicks team, at least in the last two games. The third quarter is really where we like start blowing teams out. And it used to be the opposite. And I know what you're talking. I know you remember that era when the third quarter was the nightmare. It was like, no, we have a great first half.
Many texts I have sent to you over the past couple of years since we became friends, specifically the third quarter. What the fuck is happening?
Hey, look at the third quarter now. Yeah. It happened against the Hornets. It happened again last night. The third quarter, New York Knicks. I don't know what's going on at halftime. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what type of mentality that they're bringing. Maybe they just get, all right, let's do what we usually do with these New York Knicks and just blow these teams out. So, John, what's your biggest takeaway from these Knicks, specifically in the third quarter? Because that's where it seems like they're winning basketball games. But then, real quick, you go back to that Miami Heat game. It was the opposite, right? At the end of that third quarter, we had a double-digit lead. The Heat came all the way back to tie it up. Randle hit that big-time three to give him a three-point lead heading into the fourth quarter, and then we blew them out in the fourth quarter. So it just seems like they've become a second-half team, and that's what winning teams need to do. Play your best basketball when it matters the most in the clutch.
Yeah, I mean, the cardiac Knicks, the fake comeback Knicks. It feels like we're over that hump, right? It feels like we were over that hump, honestly, like 22-23. What was it? We went like 14-8 or something after the All-Star break, right? And it felt like we were ready to go, but it was too late, right? Because we lost already too many games before that, and we couldn't make it over the hump. Last year, we fell apart after the All-Star break. If you remember, we fell apart. This year, I'm hoping that doesn't come into fruition, but that is something that's in the back of my mind. Like, if you want to humble yourself, like, just wait until all this momentum goes away and the entire league takes a break and has an All-Star game and has days off, and then let's see how it cranks back up. We're not going to be at home anymore. We're going to have to kind of, restart the engine, and maybe, like you said, Randle might not be back yet, right? So that's the way to humble myself. But as to why we're actually winning, let's actually talk Knicks basketball. Randle going out is tough, but is it really tough for the defense? I don't know. Like, Precious is probably doing better on defense, not doing better on the rebounds, right? We're definitely deficient on the rebounds because of Randle. And on the opposite side, and why we keep talking Nova boys and why they're so important, is because the offensive struggle that's going to come from Randle, we have to accumulate those points. They have to come from somewhere. That's where DiVincenzo comes in. He's like, I know, Wardy, I know you're hyped. He's not going to hit 9 threes. I know in the chat we're talking about 11 threes. He's not hitting 11 threes. I want 10. He's not hitting 10. Like, it's just not going to happen. He's not going to be
appreciating these things for what they are. Is one thing. Expecting it every single night is delusion.
What do you mean? We're not losing again this year. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know what losing is.
Exactly. So, like, it's all because of course, the Nova boys, but where it really comes into fruition is on our bench. I'll bring down the vibes. Yesterday, when Quentin Grimes went down, I was like flushed. Like, I sat back in my chair. Like, here we go again, dude. How many times do I have to do this? Like, forget the Knicks. How many times do I have to go through this? Like, this is crazy.
You take off your hoodie, you got the jersey on, for fuck's sake.
I'm just like sitting there, like, no way, dude. Like, people around me, like, there's some foreigners around me. They're like looking at me, like, I'm like going nuts. Like, no way, Quentin Grimes now. Now we don't have a shooting guard. But thankfully, he came back. He limped back. He shot during halftime, and thankfully, he was back because he's one of our catalysts. Him, Josh Hart, OG, when he comes back, hopefully healthy, plays, in our second unit. That's what's getting our second unit going. That's how we're able to come back in the third quarter. That's how we're able to stay afloat until Brunson comes back, hits 30, right? He has to. That's his MVP, Brunson. You have to give us 30. Like, that's just no question. And we'll make up for the rest. Maybe McBride will play defense, and then he'll be allowed to play. He'll hit 2 threes, maybe a couple assists. iHeart also, like the fact that iHeart and Sims are somehow patching everything together for Mitch Robinson, like that's another layup for you. Here you go. Mitch Robinson contract for Leon Rose, right? We drafted him and then we signed him, and now do we even miss him? Like he was Defensive Player of the Year. He won us the Cavs series, right? And we don't even miss him right now, which is crazy. Like, so that's why I think we're winning. We're actually coming together. Tibbs basketball. Everyone plays defense. The only thing that scares me is it feels really like we are that Bulls team with D Rose and Carlos Boozer and Joakim Noah. Like, you could plug and play now with OG. You could really plug it, Luol Deng. You could really plug and play. And I just hope that our bench is better than theirs. So that's where it all comes down to, Richie. That's the answer to your question. Why is because of our bench. So when you talk trade, it's because of our bench. Why we're good is because of our bench. So we go as far as they take us. Those are the X factors. That's why I miss IQ. Like, that's why you want to cry tears for IQ. That's what it is, because we miss that area on our bench. It's not because we don't love OG. It's because we're missing.
Yeah. And the thing about the bench, I just want to add real quick, that the bench has changed a new dynamic. And the dynamic is simple. We now have a freaking army of defensive warriors coming out there off the bench. Like, every time we see Grimes and Deuce, it's just like, woo! Like, here we go. Like, this is just the defensive maniacs. And I feel like that's the identity of this team now, where they're really prioritizing defense. That's been working in their favor. Whereas, with IQ, as much as we all love him, I'm not to say he's not a good defender. He was. I think IQ is an underrated defender, but he's more of an offensive weapon off the bench. Whereas Deuce McBride is a defensive prowess, and we're very fortunate to see some promising signs of his development on the offense. But him and Grimes are just excellent at communicating as a defensive backcourt. And you mix that in with, usually, Precious Achiuwa coming off the bench when Randle was healthy, and Josh Hart coming off the bench. Like, I feel like the bench unit, the priority is defense, and we're lacking that playmaker. We're lacking that, big-time scorer, which is why Knicks fans are a little like, okay, we need one more trade. Let's go get a Clarkson, even though he looked like trash last night. Let's go get a Brogdon. Let's go get somebody that can kind of take some stress off of Brunson to help us out on offense. But maybe, just maybe, the defense is what's winning us games, and we got to stick with that. That is the reason why the Knicks extended Deuce McBride, because you saw what he did to Martin against the Hornets. I mean, that one rep, that one sequence, when he was going just over every single screen and literally just was locking the guy down, shadowing him. He was his own shadow, and then he forced the turnover, gets into transition, hits a big shot, a three-pointer to extend the Knicks lead like 20-something or something like that. So I feel like the bench is a huge piece of this team, and every time we see the second unit come in, their defense just levels up to another level, and that's something that's really, really fun to watch. Before we get into the next segment, guys, I just want to remind you folks, please do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up button right now. We're live here on Knicks Media with two of my great friends, Tyler from Morty NYM and my man John as well. If you guys are new to the channel, do not forget to subscribe here to Knicks Media. I'm super excited to continue making content all throughout the season. And for a deep playoff run, dare I say. And we also have a brand new proud sponsor of Knicks Media for the rest of the season. We got to give a huge shout out to BetUS Sportsbook. So BetUS Sportsbook is the new proud sponsor of Knicks Media, and we are really, really excited to announce this partnership all the way throughout the rest of the season. If you guys are unfamiliar with what BetUS has to offer, they are a sportsbook, and you guys can get a 125% sign-up bonus when you click the link down below in the description, up to $2,500 and 24/7 customer service, 24/7 hours. You can give them a ring at any time. They can make a bet for you. They're an old school book. They're legal in all 50 states. Fast 24-hour payouts as well. And they have a really interesting odds right here that I want to share with the folks in the chat and, of course, the panel to share your guys' thoughts, because I want to talk about these in-season awards, because a lot of people have Jalen Brunson in MV conversations. A lot of people are talking about, hey, maybe OG Anunoby has a chance to win Defensive Player of the Year. And even Coach Tom Thibodeau has a chance to even win Coach of the Year, okay? So here are the odds presented by BetUS. And again, guys, if you want to sprinkle some cash, you guys will get a 125% sign-up bonus when you click the link down below in the description. Basically, you put $100 down, you'll have $225 to play with. So let's start off with the MVP, because Jalen Brunson's at plus 8,000. Okay, now if my math's correct, let's see. Jokic is the favorite, and the next favorite is Luka, and then we got Giannis. Oh no, wait, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's down there, so he's definitely likely. But Jalen Brunson at plus 8,000. Now, of course, SGA more likely to win the award. I get it. Jokic way more likely to win the award. Embiid keeps getting hurt. Luka just put up 70 plus. I get all that, but at plus 8,000. We're all we hear, even on ESPN. Shout out to Big Perk on ESPN for giving the Knicks their love. John, what's your thoughts of the odds of Jalen Brunson? Does he actually have a chance to elevate himself as an MVP, especially with the injury to Julius Randle, to kind of make him more of an offensive threat this year?
Honestly, man, as much as I love Jalen Brunson, as much as I'm screaming off the mountain about how he should be an all-star, about how he should have been over Dame Lillard as a starter, even though Dame Lillard is a bigger star, he sells more shoes. Obviously, the fans are going to vote for him, so that's just how it works. As much as I've been screaming Jalen Brunson, all NBA, he's not the MVP, because there's a man. I know we just beat him a couple weeks ago, and it feels fresh, but his name is Nikola Jokic. And the Joker is the best player in the NBA.
We dominated that guy. I'm just kidding.
I know. I was there. I feel you. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, well, he's a favorite for a reason.
He's been the best player in the league for 3 straight years. They gave an alley-oop to Embiid last year. Everybody's happy about that. Whatever. Jokic is the best player in our generation, man. He's just the best. So he's going to win MVP this year. Denver's going to go to the finals. We'll see them there. There is nothing that Jalen Brunson can do to win this MVP over Jokic, unless Jokic gets hurt. If he gets hurt, now you want to talk Shea versus Brunson, we can start having that discussion if the Knicks elevate to the first overall seed.
Okay, John. How about something more realistic? No, don't be sorry. You're being real. Okay, I'm delusional. I want you're grounding me to what we need. We need objectivity here. But I'm also looking at OG Anunoby as a second favorite behind Gobert. Now his injury's not doing him any favor. Rudy Gobert is the heavy favorite at minus 300, but OG is second. Does OG have a chance if he comes back and does the 6 steals against the Nuggets every single night? I mean, what does OG have to do to win this award?
To be honest with you, and I'm curious about your guys' thoughts about this one. I can't believe it's plus 750. I feel like that should be higher odds. I feel like that should be in the plus 3,500 and the plus 5,000 that you see here. So maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe OG does have a shot here with what he's doing with the Knicks, and maybe if the Knicks are doing well, he would get bumped there. Would he win it over Gobert? I don't know.
Gobert is the heavy favorite.
What if Minnesota does bad? Where I'm really looking, Richie, and I know you know where I'm going with this. We talked about it so many times in this episode. We talked about culture. Wardy's talking about how something's different in the Garden. It's different, but it's also the same, right? It's those Knicks. It's the same guy, that coach. He's back, and is he going to win his second Coach of the Year?
Come on, baby. Speak to me nice, John. Is Tibbs winning a second Coach of the Year with the Knicks? Plus 3,000.
He catches up to the Celtics. You have to give it to him. You have to.
Oh, my gosh. Tyler, what's your thoughts? Does Tibbs have a chance here? I mean, he's at plus 3,000, which is ridiculous to win it.
I think Tibbs has just as good of a shot as any Knicks representation for these awards. JB, for example, as much as we love him, we all know he's not going to win it, but I think his odds can get better for someone who's trying to place those bets should he continue to ball out over the next 2-3 weeks, assuming Randle is still out, right? OG Anunoby, defensively, when he returns, how much of an impact will he be? If this defense continues to be, top 3 in the league, then that's something where you really need to say, okay, that actually has potential. But Tom Thibodeau feels like the strongest chance of actually happening. As long as the Knicks continue this play, they go on, hopefully have a deep playoff run. Yeah, it would be hard to suggest otherwise, given the expectations this Knicks team had heading into the season versus where they're currently at. And I know their expectations were playoffs to begin with. However, there's no denying that the ramifications of the Anunoby trade is one thing, but it's Thibodeau's philosophy and his implementation as a coach, which is what's made this such a seamless fit to begin with. So I think he deserves a massive amount of credit for not only OG's implementation, but just the entire structure of the roster as is. So with all that being said, yeah, I think Tibbs has a great shot at winning it all as long as they can continue to do what they do. And hey, dude, he's cracking smiles now. I mean, it's over for the league. Like, what else?
It's over. If you can crack through Tom Thibodeau and have him show any emotions, I think we are trending in the right direction, Knicks fans. So again, shout out to BetUS for being the new proud sponsor of Knicks Media. If you want to sprinkle some cash on those awards, they also have some odds, of course, for tomorrow night's game and the Knicks to, how far they can go in the playoffs. It's legal in all 50 states, and I would appreciate it, guys, by supporting the channel is simply supporting the brands here on Knicks Media. So big time shout out to BetUS. Excited to continue this partnership. All right, folks, hit that thumbs up button right now. We got 32 likes. Let's get this to over 50 likes because the world needs to wake up. Because the New York Knicks are here, baby. And the world is so scared to admit it. They're scared to admit it. Even ESPN, shout out to Kendrick Perkins, right? Shout out to K. Perkins, Big Perk. He actually gives the Knicks some love. And maybe we don't need the Knicks love. I don't want to rely on ESPN and national media to give the Knicks the love. You want to know why? Because I'd rather the world just keep doubting these New York Knicks. So with that in mind, John, I want to kick a question over to you. Oh, wait, you have something to say with that? Please,
yeah, real quick.
Please.
And it has something to do with the coaching staff. And I just want to give you just something to think about. I'm pretty sure the best record in the East coaches the All-Star game. And I'm pretty sure that if you did it last year, you're not in the running. And I'm pretty sure that Joe Mazzulla did it last year, and he was the coach. So if the Knicks are second seed by the time the All-Star game rolls around, there is a possibility that Tibbs might be coaching. But go ahead.
That's pretty cool. Can you imagine Tibbs coaching the All-Star game? Wow. Brunson's playing 42 minutes. I mean, I don't care. He's like, oh, yeah? You didn't vote for my guy to be a starter? Watch this. The first 3 minutes, Lillard onto the bench, and Brunson's playing, and he gets All-Star MVP. I'm for that, baby. I'm for that. And Tom Thibodeau is such an interesting, coach with this Knicks team, just in terms of the perception of him amongst the fan base. And I feel like we're coming around to realize that this guy knows what he's doing. He's evolving his game. I love listening to his press conference because they ask Tibbs a question and he rambles about something that has nothing related to the question. And it's so awesome. He kind of is. I mean, does that mean we're starting a dynasty, John? Did you just compare him to Belichick?
Dude, let's just win. Let's just go to the Eastern Conference Finals. What was your question?
Oh my gosh. And that's why we need to get to the third seed so we can avoid those Boston Celtics. Just kidding. I'm not scared of them.
I'm worried.
Now,
I know you're not. I am.
I ain't worried. Bring me anyone, bro. Give me anyone. Someone contain your boy Richie.
Listen, we're so excited that the Knicks lost 2 games in January. The Celtics have lost 2 games at home all season. Don't forget. Let's just stay humble.
All right. Well, we haven't seen
has these great runs every single year, both the Celtics and the Bruins, by just dominating the regular season, and that's all there is to show. So I'm not putting too much stock in their dominance at home court. They've been saying this for how many decades now? No.
Yeah, come on. Speak to me. And we haven't seen Boston since the new Knicks have arrived with an OG Anunoby. And Precious, I think we got to stop saying the OG Anunoby trade. It's the Precious Achua trade.
It's not the Malachi Flynn trade?
I mean, it's like Precious.
My boy couldn't even get in last night. Like, the fact that he can't even get in with 3 minutes left in the game, dude. You better send him out of here. You can't aggregate him with other people because we just got him. But, we better trade Malachi Flynn. We better.
What do you mean? He's like the next big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the depth is there.
The next Archie.
All right. Well, we shall see. Now, let's talk some trades here, okay? I know that we want to talk about this cool 8-game winning streak and us being the 3rd seed, but the trade deadline is right around the corner. And I want to get your guys' thoughts in the chat right now. Which player, if you were the Knicks, would you want them to pursue? If there is one, maybe you don't even want to make a trade in the first place. Or would you rather them just, stand pat? Because I feel like they're in such an interesting spot right now where we have all the ammunition in the world to trade for somebody, but we're hearing that the Jazz are asking for a lot for Jordan Clarkson, which is who's shocked to hear that because of Danny Ainge. The Portland Trailblazers have no interest of trading away Brogdon, right? I mean, we're hearing Bruce Brown, we're hearing so much speculation, so many rumors. So, John, which player would you want the New York Knicks to pursue out of all the guys we've heard the Knicks have been linked to thus far?
So you hit the nail on the head with Jordan Clarkson and Danny Ainge in Utah, so no thank you. And then it comes down to what the Knicks want. First of all, I know nobody cares. I know nobody even noticed, but Evan Fournier hasn't been around the last 2 games for personal reasons. They don't even tweet about it. I don't know where it is. It just shows up in the injury report, and nobody talks about it. Nobody cares. He hasn't been on the bench. He's gone. Evan Fournier has to go. But the Knicks want a contract that's into next year so that they can trade it. That's why Fournier is valuable. And I'm pretty sure if we exercise the option on Fournier, man, this guy hates his life, dude. He just wants to play basketball. We're like, no, we got you. Or we're gonna exercise that option so we could trade him, right? Because you need to match salaries in the NBA. So if that's the case, and you want to trade Fournier, you can get Bruce Brown, and then you probably have to let go of a protected first or a second somewhere, which sucks. But if you want that and you think you could pick you up, and he has a club option for next year, Bruce Brown seems like the best idea. It's annoying because he could be a free agent next year. We can get him for free. Right. So that's one thing that's in the back of my head. And then you go to Brogdon. Brogdon's the same idea. He also has a contract next year. You said Portland doesn't want to trade him. I didn't see that. Portland stinks. And Anthony Simons is the one getting the ball there. They have a bunch of literally good players. I feel like we can get Brogdon. I feel like if we throw up a nice protected first pick there with Fournier or something, we can grab Brogdon. I just don't want to trade Grimes. I'm not trying to trade Grimes at this deadline. I'm trying to hold on to him.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait for that quote unquote. It doesn't have to be a star. Just another player that we can plug in. He's just not available right now. So why get rid of it? If you want to get rid of Fournier, you better bring somebody in with a contract for next year. That's the only thing I'm saying. Get rid of Flynn. You know what I'm saying? If you want for nothing. But if you want to ask me how to fix the Knicks, dude,
there's nothing to fix. Hey, whoa. Backtrack. What are we fixing?
Listen, I'm telling you.
You're making it seem like we're a broken product.
It's orange and blue glasses, but I'm telling you that second unit needs a point guard. Second unit needs a point guard. Just give me Tyus Jones. Give me the big man that they have. His name Gafford, I think his name is.
Give me Deuce. Sorry.
Okay. That's how I'm fixing it. It's just, dude, I'm telling you, even Tibbs yelling at Deuce yesterday, I'm just like, all right. But Tyus Jones doesn't play defense. So, there's the other side of that coin.
Now, there is one guy you did not mention, and I'll kick this over to Tyler if you have any interest in this specific player. Is Alec Burks coming home? Alec Burks.
I'm thinking you're CP out here with your Alex Burke fandom.
But I'm actually serious. I get CP is on that wave too. Shout out to CP franchise, Knicks Fan TV. But I right when I first heard Alec Burks' name potentially coming back, my eyes sparkled. I was like, why does he feel like this is his time to come home and be the guy off the bench? Why does it feel like that I actually want it? I mean, let's not forget what Burks was. He was a clutch. He would just light it up. He would be like, do you remember the edits on Twitter we saw of Michael Jordan and Alec Burks? I mean, there's real legit things here that is getting me excited. Now, I know I'm getting a little over the top, but still, I feel like he's someone that would fit what we're trying to do here this season, but that's just me.
Yeah, I love Burks.
So regarding Alec Burks, it's sorry, I just need a minute. I don't know why. It's
MJ.
So he's averaging 12 and a half in 20 minutes this season. He's shooting just under 40% from the field, 40% from three. 2 rebounds, 1.5 assists, half steal per game. So Burks, I think, actually does make plenty sense because of how much Thibodeau loves Burks and loves that type of player. But my biggest concern with someone like Alec Burks, should you acquire him, is exactly that. Because he's such a Thibodeau guy, I'm afraid that Tibbs is going to want him in every single situation, just like he did last time he was here. And then before you know it, we're going to have this lack of structure. It's going to mess up the chemistry and everything. That's my big concern with Alec Burks. He's a solid role player. There's no denying that. I think he wouldn't be a bad fit at all. but it's almost like he's too much of a good thing for Tibbs that it might become a bad thing. It's like Tibbs
You don't
can't be
trust
trusted.
Tibbs.
He wants to give him 50 minutes somehow, even if he can't give it to him. You know what I mean? So out of the guys that are currently out there as like a six man that I personally like, I do like Brogdon quite a bit. I think also his success and his experience out in the East the way he has during his time with the Pacers and, of course, most recently with Boston definitely can bode him well to really take on now the Garden with the Knicks here. I think he makes a lot of sense for the type of role that they're currently looking for as not only, you know, a shot creator, a facilitator, but also someone that can handle his own defensively. But someone that I know can't, but I would still like is Tyus Jones. And this goes back with just some personal fandom. I'm a Duke fan. I've been literally since I was a kid. So I watched Tyus during his time there too. I definitely would welcome that addition, especially if you could add a big man too. But I guess the question is it even needed? Is it even needed right now?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is it Tyus Jones moving the needle? What are we doing? I mean, I get it. No disrespect to Tyus Jones.
I don't know about moving needle.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, baby. Deuce McBride, let him know. Okay.
I love
broken
Deuce.
March. We can't fix it anymore.
Okay, but like, but you're not drinking the Deuce juice. I get it. Okay, Tibbs barked at him and it's like, oh, you're missing his armor to the bench.
Did you see that transition in the first game of the back-to-back? We all did. When he's just going ham on the defense, drops the three.
And his three-point shooting is ridiculous right now.
He's
his offense. So like, give me someone that's really, really good on defense over and like is showing signs of offense over someone that's an offensive threat that has no defense any day with the Tom Thibodeau team. That's just me.
Someone that has more defensive upside than IQ.
Deuce McBride. I mean, that's my point here. Sure. I feel like we have to start realizing that the Knicks really believe in Deuce. Where like if we trade for somebody to be off the bench, that's going to replace Deuce McBride. And the big thing about this that's interesting is we're trying to go far this year. So it is hard to like rely on Deuce McBride when he's really young. He's in year number 3. He's still learning on the fly. He isn't fully developed. So it's hard to put him in that role as that, you know, first guy off the bench backing up Jalen Brunson in a season where we want, you know, have high heights, you know, trying to go all the way here deep into the playoffs. But like there's something about Deuce that I'm watching him play and he has a different poise and a new confidence to his game on offense, right? Defense, every single night he is playing. Obviously he has some hiccups here and there, but on offense, I'm seeing something from him that is giving me some reason to believe that like we may have found our Emmanuel Quickley replacement here. Like, I don't think he's on the level of IQ yet, not even close offensively, but he's better than him on the defensive end, and he's hitting his shots from downtown. Now, am I wearing blue and orange goggles again, and I'm delusional, or like is that like objectively what I'm seeing here?
So here's a great point regarding McBride, because you're 100% right. He has fitted in an awesome way, stepping up since IQ has been dealt. He's always been known for better defensive upside. That is why Tibbs has liked someone like him as much as he has since he's been drafted by the Knicks. But here's the counter. If Deuce McBride gets hurt, or if Deuce McBride clearly looks like he's struggling in this role for the remainder of the season, and you decide to not add more at the trade deadline, how much are you going to be kicking yourself in the foot if you're a Knicks fan, let alone their front office, knowing that you finally have a squad where, okay, if we just add a little bit more protection, we really feel like we could have a run at this thing. I just don't want the Knicks to put themselves in a situation where they decide to not buy at all, and then they deal with more ailments, and it's like all we needed was just this backup, and we would have been solid, and we don't have that, and there's a glaring hole here. We just don't have enough cushion. So that's my true concern with the Knicks.
It makes sense, though, but then
I think you should still try to make a move where if McBride goes down, you still have a solid guy there as an option. Now, I know that, you know, we have Flynn, for example. I'm with you, John. I say, you know, wherever the evil Dante's got to go, he's got to go. You know, if he's got to be part of another deal, that's fine. Nothing personal against Flynn, but you see the point, the team fit, right? So, like I said, that's kind of my biggest concern, and I still hope to make a trade.
My only thing with that is if they make a trade, then it's going to replace Deuce in the rotation. Like, right, that's the thing. Like, it's not like you can't make a trade, and then like if you make the trade, Deuce is not going to get hurt because he's not playing. Like that's my point, John. So where are you battling with getting that guard off the bench if the Knicks do make a trade and say they don't trade Grimes and they add a 6-man? Does that replace Deuce in the rotation, or is he still going to be part of the rotation? Like, how does that work out?
Here's the thing. You're right. You just missed the point. you're right. Deuce is worse than IQ. And what happened when IQ had to come in off the bench in the playoffs last year? It wasn't great. It wasn't amazing. And now we have something that's worse coming off the bench. So what if, just like close your eyes, imagine it's game 3 in the playoffs, whatever round, and Brunson has 2 fouls in the first quarter. The game's over. You know what I mean? Like the game's actually over if you have to bring in Deuce McBride. So that's my issue. Like someone in the, Asperger's said, I'll take Lowry if he's bought out. We just need a vet off the bench for the playoffs. I 100% agree with that. You know what I mean? If you don't want to really stifle McBride, right? Because he is doing better and you do need him to get more minutes, but you need Lowry there, right? Lowry did amazing in the playoffs last year. We all remember Caleb Martin and Strus. He had played the exact same amount of minutes as they did in the playoffs last year. He's not washed. He's fine.
Caleb Martin. Oh my God.
I know. I mean, I'm so happy Richie brought up the Martin brothers with the Hornets and the Heat and how Brunson went at both of them. I'm happy about that. Just that felt good to me because I felt like Caleb Martin was Michael Jordan last year in the playoffs.
Yo,
so like,
Max Strus. I
right?
still have nightmares.
Didn't they
What's
go
up?
to Nevada? The Twins?
I think so. I think so.
Because I remember watching them in March Madness. Like, who are these dudes? Like when I first came across them.
And now they're out here. They're out here, taking our hearts out last year. But we're back this year. I agree with McBride. I'll take Lowry. If Gordon Hayward gets bought out, I'll take him. If you don't want to trade, but listen, man, it's so. I agree with Wardy too. It's so stupid to have Fournier here on the bench doing nothing, not even at the bench, home because he's pissed off and like doesn't even show up for personal reasons. Just give me Bruce Brown. Lose a first-round pick. Lose a second-round pick. You have to gamble like that. Have Bruce Brown there because he can fill in. He won a championship. You know what I mean? What the hell is he going to do rotting in Toronto? They're in 13th place or 12th place.
They want to flip them. They want to flip him.
They have to. And he already came out and said, I want to go to New York. Like he tampered.
Yeah, Bruce already made his own pitch.
I love Tibbs. Hey, man, when do we ever hear a player come out and say, I love Tom Thibodeau? I mean, have we ever heard that in public?
While he's on a different team, mind you, it's not like he's a free agent making his own pitch. He's literally on another team. It's like,
and they just made a trade with the Knicks, and the Knicks are suing them. Like this is like, what are we doing?
I forgot about that.
This is just a part of the whole story of the championship season, man. I'm telling you.
This is in the DVD. Bruce Brown asked to come to the Knicks. Eventually, comes to the Knicks.
Hey, man, we're becoming an attractable destination. How about that? And we built this team in a very unique way. And I think Bruce Brown is someone that I would love because he is I feel like if you just take a step back and look at all the moves that Leon Rose has made since he got here, they've all have a consistent trend and they're all fit into Tom Thibodeau's system. And I feel like that is something that I praise Leon Rose is he was in lockstep with Tom Thibodeau and he's bringing in players that fits the coaching staff. Leon Rose isn't bringing in the guys that he thinks is good. He's bringing in guys that Tom Thibodeau and himself agree on. And that is how you have to be good. When's the last time we've seen the Knicks front office and the head coach be in lockstep? I mean, it's never been the case. I mean, we can go back to Hornacek and Phil Jackson and all these like morons, Derek Fisher. I mean, and and all the guys in the front office. I won't even bring up their names. They make me sick to my stomach. So I think Leon Rose has done such a good job. And I feel like Bruce Brown, the reason why I bring it up, that's a guy that Tom Thibodeau would love to have on this team that is just a scrappy. He's the utility guy. He's similar to Josh Hart in a way. And I feel like those types of players translate. And that's the cool thing about this Knicks team as well, is everyone's like, oh, we need another star. We need another star. What if we just have 2 stars with Brunson and Randle? Yeah, Randle's a star, by the way. I'm going to say that again. He's a star, okay? He's going to win. He should be the all-star game tomorrow. I don't know if the injury is going to help. I don't know. The injury, maybe not. But if he's not an all-star, that's ridiculous. He's an all-NBA player, most improved. I'm not going to go on a tangent about Julius Randle, but I'm so sick of still Randle hate seeing on my channel, man. I'm just sick of it. I'm not going to let it slide. But let me go back to my point here. Jalen Brunson, star. Randle, star. 2 stars. And what the Knicks are doing right now is they're supplementing perfect role players, perfect utility men. I love talking. Josh Hart is a henchman. He's a mechanic. He does all the dirty work. He doesn't need to hit a shot. He's the quarterback. Hopefully not. He's going to sail it, in section 204 if he continues those types of passes. But my point here is they're bringing in the right culture pieces around our 2 stars that maybe we don't need a top 5 guy like an overrated Jason Tatum. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But you know what I'm trying to say here? like I feel like the Knicks have something special that's kind of different than the usual dynamic of an NBA team of you got to have that superstar top 5 MVP player in order to do something. Like we have someone at Jalen Brunson who's finally getting that respect of being a quote unquote star, borderline fringe superstar. I feel like he still needs to finish out the season in order he gets that and do it again in the playoffs because it is fairly fresh for Jalen Brunson doing this way. But I just feel like the way the Knicks team is constructed right now, they have what it takes. They really do. Am I like? I mean, the proof is right there on the court.
Really, we're gonna, unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately because we don't know yet. But Randle's injury, along with what we do at the deadline, will be indicative of everything, right? Because unfortunately for us Knicks fans, we dealt with Randle having his ailment the way he did in last year's playoffs, and you have to wonder if that Knicks team was healthier than what they were, how far could they have gotten? Now, I'm not going to use that as much of an excuse because injuries go for every single team, especially when you get in playoffs. I understand that. But Randle finds himself in another unfortunate situation now. He's dealing with an injury. It probably might take him, north of a month or so to heal. How is he going to look once he actually returns, right? Because he's going to need a ramp up. He's going to need to make sure that shoulder is feeling okay. When you pop that socket out, you're at higher risk of it kind of coming in and out naturally. So there are things that we're going to have to evaluate with Randle and how he kind of projects once he returns from injury. But assuming that things hopefully go well on his front once he returns and the Knicks do make one more move at least to kind of just round things out the way that we've been talking about. Yeah, I absolutely think that this Knicks team can go far. If there's a way for them to avoid Boston early on, that would be amazing. But regardless, I do think that this Knicks team actually can make noise beyond what they did last year because they surprised a lot of people last year. And I think how they're orchestrating things right now is they're meeting expectations, but it's also really how they're winning games. This Knicks team last year was not blowing out guys the way that they are this year. They were not clamping them down defensively to the degree, especially on this type of stretch. I mean, what the Knicks are doing right now, they haven't done since 1994. It's funny, we start the show, John, you bring up the Rangers. Exact same thing. Rangers, of course, had a great year in 94. That's the last time they won. Knicks fell short that year. Could we see some similarities, a couple decades later? I don't know. We'll soon find out. But all I know is that the Knicks right now are in a position that they haven't been in recent years. And us Mets fans, Richie, you can attest to this. Let's look at the underwhelming trade deadlines back in 2022. We need to make sure that we do enough and not do less and it being at the risk of actually hurting our chances down the stretch. So I just want this team to be as healthy as can be locked and loaded. And from there, I have really a lot of faith in what this club can do in unison. They're just so selfless. And I think as long as they continue that mentality, they're going to go as far as hopefully Tibbs can take them.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. I feel like the culture, like we started off the, stream, is kind of been translating through and just coming to the surface more, right? Like I've been waiting for a winning culture and I just cannot give Tom Thibodeau enough credit. And also you got to give Johnny Bryant. I mean, the entire coaching staff deserves their credit. And I feel like it just feels good. Yashimoto, Brunson. I mean, you name it. We got dogs on that. I mean, Johnny Bryant, I love you. Don't go anywhere. I'm scared that he's gonna get plucked somewhere for a college coaching gig or a head coach somewhere else. But the reality is, the Knicks have something here, and will they make a trade at the deadline? We will find out. Finally, it's coming. Right? It's finally coming next week, and I have a feeling that they might. I don't know. It's so tough. It's just so tough. John, like prediction. You said what you want, right? You said what you want. What are the Knicks going to do, though? Like, if you had a prediction and you put money on what the Knicks are going to do, not based off what you personally want, but based off what you think the Knicks are going to do, what do you think they're actually going to do next week?
I think they're going to trade a protected first and Fournier for Bruce Brown. And people can be upset for giving away a first-round pick for someone who's going to be a free agent.
And then notice what you said there. Who was upset when we first got Brunson, right? Some people. Who was upset when we first traded for Josh Hart? Was Josh Hart really going to do anything? 9-game winning streak. Who was upset right away after the OG Anunoby trade? Our emotions got in the way, a little reactionary. Guys, Something I learned about Leon
You really
Rose.
thought the trade was like completely lopsided when I first.
Me too.
I know.
Oh my God, are you kidding? I'm first to admit I was reacting with emotions like many
Like,
Knicks
what the hell
fans
just happened?
when we first made that, because that trade was so out of nowhere.
Oh my God.
Where I'm like,
Not
I'm
the
out to
fucking
breakfast
thing.
with my dad at IHOP, and I'm looking at my phone and I see the news and I'm like, I literally scream, "What?" And then I'm like sitting in silence and my dad's like looking at me, What happened? What happened? And I'm just processing that RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley are no longer Knicks. Not even thinking about what we're getting. I'm just thinking about the loss of RJ and IQ.
Trade.
And then the Precious trade. And then we get Precious Achua. So, I mean, that trade was different because every Knicks fan had their own reaction. It was pure just off emotions when you just fall in love with those two prospects that we drafted and watch them grow as the men that they are in RJ and IQ. But obviously, you let the trade breathe and you see what they are right now. One thing I've learned about Leon Rose, whatever move he does, do not react initially. Let the trade, let the free agent signing, let the draft pick, whatever the case may be, let it breathe. Because I have not seen one bad move from Leon Rose yet. Is there one, John? Give me one.
Bad move.
Every
Fournier,
free
maybe?
agent. He did sign him. Oh, he did sign him.
He did sign him. I think Fournier might be it.
Damn it. You got me.
Yeah,
You know
that
what?
Might be the only one.
But we have to wait because who is Fournier going to turn into?
Exactly. It might flip. If he flips it for Bruce Brown and we lose a first round pick that's protected by a million things like the Washington one or the Pistons one, I'm fine with it. Nobody cares about those anyway. It just sounds like just the word first makes you happy. Like we have a second round pick from the Heat that's like 37 to like 52 protected. like that's not
It's
a real
never
pick.
gonna go.
Give that away. It's fine.
Exactly. And I feel like it's funny because I feel like at first I was upset with the notion of Leon Rose is not talking. Like, I want to hear from you, Leon. Like, I'm used to, like, as a Jets fan, Joe Douglas speaks to the media after the trade deadline, and then he speaks after the season. So you kind of get to hear from Joe Douglas a little bit, just, the GM and the brains behind the New York Jets. And, of course, with the Mets, you hear from Bean and, the new president. But Leon Rose, we don't hear from him. And at first, it drove me nuts. But now, I'm like, let the man cook in silence. He's in the shadows, and we don't know what is going through this guy's brain, and everything he's doing is doing great. So, Tyler, what's your thoughts? Because, I know with the Mets, we get to hear from, whether it was all the previous presidents and now the brand new president. We hear from Cohen. You get to hear from the brains behind the Mets. But with the Knicks, it's the opposite. We do not hear from Leon Rose in the media. How do you think that dynamic is? Because I feel like he just does not want to go on to that media room and get the hard-hitting questions. He's working in silence, and it's worked up to this point.
I think Leon should continue to do exactly that, because even when you have a GM or a president that is very personable, like relatable, and say they are making good moves, like that's all great and all, but usually what happens with a lot of these guys is you get a lot of, your stereotypical kind of nothing answers, no different than like a post game if you're OG Anunoby, just getting like straight to the point, and that's basically it. So, when I look at it from that standpoint, it's like, okay, I don't really need that from Leon. All I need from him is to do his job and to make us fans happy. And he's quite literally doing exactly that. And especially to see after the immediate success of not only the OG trade and the hot streak the Knicks have been on. Let's not forget the hot streak the Knicks went on last year after acquiring Josh Hart. Like, there's been a strategy and has definitely led to this team having success. It's been, of course, a bit of a slow roll for what us Knicks fans would have wanted since the start, but it's finally here. So I say, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Continue to do your thing, Leon. If you want to talk to the media at some point, great, but we know the media does a fantastic job on twisting words. And as someone who covers like every report and rumor to a T for a baseball team in a big market, I can tell you how exhausting it gets day after day after day, and hearing either the same shit and it's like, oh, our GM just said the same thing we've known all offseason. We're all going to talk about it now just because he said it. Like, it's unnecessary. Leon, keep cooking, keep doing your thing, brother. Just help us win a chip. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and to compare that to like Joe Douglas and the Jets, I mean, Joe Douglas has lied to our faces many times. So like, and that wasn't like on purpose. It's just like, so maybe that's good, John. Leon Rose, he would lie to us if he goes on live. So it's better not to hear from him.
I call Coach Sala a liar frequently.
Oh, Sala as well.
He
Of
literally
course.
lies right to our face every press. I literally, whatever he says, I actually believe the opposite. So I don't care about these press conferences.
That's why I love Thibodeau, bro. The Thibodeau, like I can listen to Tibbs press conferences all day long. You ask him, "Hey, Tibbs, what'd you think of Jalen Brunson tonight?" And then he literally breaks down all 8 players. Like
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, I thought Hartenstein brought a really good minute," and then he just like goes on a tangent. And I'm like, "See, this guy Tibbs just speaks ball, and he gives you how it is, and he's just awesome." Tom Thibodeau, I appreciate you, man. I do appreciate you, and Knicks fans should appreciate you too.
Like while Wardy was talking, I was like looking at the screen, like while he's talking, and it just hit like 8-game winning streak, 14-2. Like, what are we talking about? This is insane. Like, I'm
31-17.
As you guys are speaking, there really are only at this point 2 teams, but really only one team that I'm going to be furious if the Knicks lose to in the playoffs. Like, if the Knicks lose to the Celtics, okay. If the Knicks lose to the Bucks, like, I'm gonna be a little upset. Like, I feel like we could beat them, even though they're champions, whatever. Other than that, if we lose to any other team in the East in a playoff series, like this has been.
Give me the Cavs again. Oh, I would love to. Give me them again.
Forget that. I need the Heat. I need the Miami Heat. I don't care what round.
Watch this. Miami Heat, they're plummeting right now, John. They're going to be the 7th seed, and they're going to be right in the second round. Okay,
That's
like
fine,
I'm looking at
But
the Heat right now,
avoid
and I'm
them.
seeing them losing, and I'm like, yeah, they're not. Who
In that
cares?
case,
Like,
we
they're
better
going to the
avoid them.
playoffs.
Right. It's not
If we
like
get the
Heat were
second
rolling in
seed-
the playoffs last year or anything. They literally just got in.
They were the
beat
8th seed
Bulls.
last year.
They were
They were the
playing last
8th
year.
seed.
Yeah,
The
listen,
8th
it's
seed,
crazy.
bro, and they went to the finals. They were
If the
You tell
Knicks
me.
get the 2nd seed, boys, and we end up playing
when
the
they
Heat,
do.
I'm actually gonna be. I'll be tight about that. We get the 2nd seed. We have to play the Heat in the first round. Like we don't even get the Hawks or the Magic. That'll be tough.
No, that would be good though. Let's get the monkey off.
Keep them away.
Let's get the monkey off our back. Let's get the Heat in round 1, beat them in 5, and then we'll see Indiana. I don't know. We'll see how the freaking playoffs present itself.
The only team
But
that upset me. I'm only upset about the Celtics and the Bucks. Other than that, the Knicks are the 3rd best team in the East. I'm ready to stamp that in. We're beating
and
teams
whoever
with
we
only
verse in
2
the
of our
finals,
players.
by the way, is getting swept. I mean, give me the Nuggets, okay?
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm getting
100%.
out of a hand here. We have ran out of time here on this show, even though we could probably talk for another few hours. 8 hours we can talk about in honor of the 8-game winning streak, but we're not going to bore you guys
I
that
like
much.
that.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into another Knicks Media Show here, guys. We're really excited to continue to launch new and creative content here on the channel. You will be seeing more of Tyler here on Knicks Media. You will be seeing more of John here on Knicks Media. So make sure you guys go check out what they do. John has a podcast. Tyler covers the New York Mets, of course. We appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning into the show. If you did not already, please consider hitting that like button. Really does help out the channel. And don't forget to subscribe as well to really help Knicks Media get launched out there to Knicks fans all across the world. We will see you guys next time. Tomorrow night, we are back home against the Indiana Pacers, and we shall see what happens then. We appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. Until next time, let's go Knicks. Peace out, guys.